Okay, so welcome back. We're introducing decimals to the tenths place and how to represent decimals on a number line. So the first thing that we're going to look at is there's many different ways that we can represent a fraction. So we've looked at some of them already. And one of the ways is just writing it in its fraction form. Another is to have it on a number line and showing it on the number line where it exists. And then we can also draw it out. So we've used circles and fraction tapes and everything else. So these are some ways that we have represented one part out of 10 equal parts. So mathematicians have decided and invented a very long time ago a simpler way to write 1/10, and that is called decimal notation. Okay, and the way that we show this is that this 1/10 is actually can be represented in this way. So this little dot guy here is not a period. That's something that you use in language arts. This is called a decimal. And I know that you've seen it, especially when you deal with money and stuff. So decimals. If I'm looking at this number before the decimal, that represents your 1. Any number that is greater than 1. Remember, that's the ones place. So if that's the ones place, this would be classified as the tenths place. And this is where it comes from, is from that fraction, breaking the whole thing up into the smaller pieces. So this is the tenths place, as long as the pieces are made out of 10. Okay, so now if I'm looking at these tenths, and I'm wanting to make them into decimals, okay, so this would be one fraction strip that's divided into 10 pieces with one piece. So there's 0 ones place, and that would be 1/10. Okay, 0 ones place, and this would be 2/10, and that would be spelled tenths. And this would be 0.3, which would be 3/10. And this is 0.8, which you would say 8/10. Okay? Now, if I'm trying to think about where these things live on the number line, okay, I can take, so this is 0 to 1 here, and it's divided up. It has 10 parts so that it can be tenths. So I know that 8/10 is there. Okay, it can also be written like this, but we're using decimals now. Okay, halfway 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be 0.5. Okay, and if you want to make that connection to the fraction, and this would be 0.2, 2/10. Okay, and then the 7, 0.7 is 7/10. So they occupy the same space on the number line. So I can say that 0.7 is equal to 7/10. Those are equal to each other. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this because it's getting kind of squishy. I wasn't expecting to do that part. Okay, so let's look down here now. How can I draw 2/10? Well, it's the same principle. And this is a very horrible, I hate doing circle drawings for fractions just for this reason that they're not ever equal. But let's pretend it's equal. And so it would be 2 parts out of 10. Okay, so this part, remembering this 2 is always a 10th place, so it's always represented, if you're going to draw it out, in equal 10 pieces. This one, 3/10, okay, so I have 10, I can draw it very easily. It's out of 10 and 3 pieces are being used. This is 5/10, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, and I forgot to draw the line down the middle here. Okay, and then this would be 6/10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6/10. So I can write it as a decimal or the fraction, but remember we're doing decimals now. So that still holds true. This is 3/10, or I can write it as a decimal, 3/10. All right, so do the exercises that I've assigned. You're going to do the backwards now. So you're going to be given these pictures and you're going to have to write the decimal, not the fraction.